Namaste. Welcome. Welcome to my heart. Welcome to our Sunday meditation. Let us begin with a short meditation. Focus your attention at the sun center and close your eyes if you're comfortable. Turning your head to the left with a double exhalation. Bring your head back to the center and begin to watch your breath. O great Spirit, saints and sages of all times, of all places, O ye path makers of old, gurus of the holy Kriya lineage, O ye forms of the divine in all your names and all your places, those we remember, those we have forgotten. Namaste. May our time be blessed. May we be uplifted and vivified. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Perhaps you've heard of Indra, the king of the Devas. You might remember his name. He was a very famous king, a good, a virtuous king, but he had a petite problem. He had the traits of a human mind. That's always a problem when you have the traits of the human mind. Now, Indra was born in a great palace to a mother and father who loved him very much. And from the moment of his birth, he knew that he was destined to be the king of the Devas. The king of the Devas. These are the good beings of the universe. And everything went along fine. No problems. Everything went along fine. Everybody was happy to have him, teaching him, loving him, admiring him, until he became about 7 years old. And on his 7th birthday, a thought came to rest in his mind. A thought of self-doubt. What if I cannot do what they say I can do? What if I'm not good enough? What if they're all wrong? Little kernel of doubt came to rest when he was 7. And it was a lack that entered into his mind, a feeling of, I don't think I'm good enough. Well, what could he do? Each year as he grew, that lack grew. Each year as he grew, that self-doubt grew. But he covered it. And he kept thinking, if I could only become king, when I become king, that self-doubt is going to go away. When I become king and I have the title and the crown, there will be no problem. All of the worry will go away. All the self-doubt will go away. He became 14. He grew unto his 21st year. But in that growing, his competitive nature grew. He had to be better than everybody else. He had to prove to himself that he was worthy. But the competition didn't help. That self-doubt that had been a tiny, petite kernel in his mind, it grew and it grew and it grew and it grew. The more it grew, the more he hid it. The more it grew, the more he covered it with his achievements. In time, he grew into his 21st year. And with great ceremony and pomp and circumstance, his father took the crown off of his own head and placed it upon Indra's head and said, now, my beloved son, you, until you crown your own son or daughter, you will rule our people. And so it began. Now, he was the king of the Devas. These are the good divine beings. And all of them were at his beck and call. He could do what he wanted. He could do what he chose. The only thing that bound him was his own morals, his own values. But remember, in all of this goodness, in all of his life, there was this feeling of lack. Something is missing within me, he said. Something is missing within me. Now he looked around the palace and he saw that his predecessors had brought nice art in from different places and they had put beautiful furniture in. And he thought, well, if I'm Indra, I must get nice art and beautiful furniture. I must fill the palace. Now, he was not the first of his line, so the palace had a lot of stuff in it, but not stuff that he had brought in. So he cleans everybody else's stuff out, puts it up for auction, gives it away, gives it to the Goodwill, and starts to fill the palace with this and that and the other thing. Musicians, but musicians had to have places to sit and places to sleep and places to store their instruments. Artists to paint murals on his wall and paint big pictures of him. The makers of the mirrors, the makers of the glass, all came to live at his court. And then, of course, the courtesans who came to admire him. And they all brought their things with them, and they filled the palace with things. But these were things of his choosing. So he felt better about it. But pretty soon, it got really crowded again. And he looked around and he thought, well, I could use a new throne room. I would like a new throne room. I would like a throne room. I think I'd like a throne room that had gold on all the ceiling and mirrors and gold around the mirrors and candles, all to reflect upon the king. This is how it should be. Now, there's only one person that can do this, only one divine being that could make this possible for him. And that was the great celestial architect, Vishvakarmananda. And so he sent forth to the high places, thus did Indra, for Vishvakarmananda, come, 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 and help me to add on, to rehab, to expand my palace. And so Vishvakarmananda, this is a good gig. He's going to enjoy it. And he likes to do this kind of thing. So he goes off to the palace and he starts working with Indra. And they make a beautiful throne room. And it's just the most wonderful, glorious thing you've ever seen. And so that becomes the sun throne room. And then they make one that's the moon throne room that is filled with silver and crystals and beautiful, sparkling things. And they add on a ruby room, a jade room, an emerald room. Again and again and again and again and again. Now, usually Vishvakarmananda worked with beings who had a limit to what they wanted him to do. But, 1 year goes by, 2 years go by, 12 years go by, and he's still there, still adding on to the palace, more and more and more rooms. One day he wakes up and he says, this has got to stop. This is never going to end. I've been here for 12 years. I've got jobs on backlog. I can't get anything else done. I need some help. So on one of his breaks, he turns in and meditates, and he goes up to the high place. And he calls on Lord Vishnu. And he says, you have to help me. This King Indra is insatiable. He has a lack that he cannot fill. He has a lack that I cannot fill. Please come help me. Vishnu says, go on back. No worries. I'll help you. Nothing to worry about. So goes back, and they're having a big dinner that night. The servants answer the door. And their tradition is if somebody comes in the middle of dinner, they let them in. They always have a place at the table for whoever might show up during the middle of dinner. And in comes this beautiful young boy, just glowing with light, just this young yogic boy who's just, he's so light-filled, and just this beautiful Brahmin boy. I would like to see King Indra. Well, you know, he's at dinner. That's all right. He set a place for me. I would like to see King Indra. So the servants know the practice. They know the routine. They take the boy and they take him in to see the king. Now, King Indra is not impressed by very much, but this young boy fills the whole room with light. And so he invites him to sit at the table. And they dine. The boy looks around and he says, boy, you sure have quite a palace here. This is really quite a palace. Oh, yes. I have a wonderful architect, Vishvakarmananda, the celestial architect and builder, has been here working on my palace for 12 years. Huh. When do you think you're going to be finished? You know, most renovation projects, expansion projects, finish at some time. Within King Indra, the self-doubt, the lack that had been there since he was 7, it was so large. In that moment of the questioning, he could feel the emptiness within him. Now, no one could see this but the boy. He hid it behind his pomp. He hid it behind his clothes. He hid it behind his crown. He hid it behind his words. But the boy could see that the lack had filled the king. King doesn't answer. A moment goes by. He says, well, don't you like my palace? Don't you like my 10,000 things? Don't you like my crowns? Wouldn't you like to have all of these things, young man? I am thinking maybe I can show you something, the boy says to the king. He says, come into your hallway, if you will. And they go in a great big gigantic entranceway. You might have seen them or you might remember them from the old days. The entranceways were massive, went up stories and stories and stories and stories with these beautiful columns so that you were impressed when you came in. The boy says to the king, just a moment. Opens his eyes again. And the boy says, do you see that little ant walking across your floor here? And the king Indra says, an ant? What is an ant doing here? Do you see that ant hole that's grown up over there? That ant hill that's grown up over there? That's where all the ants live, you know? Very unsteady to build your kingdom on an anthill, my lord. That anthill is very big. Must be a lot of ants there. The ants began to leave the anthill, this home that they've created, in the middle of the palace entranceway. 1 ant, 2 ant, 3 ant, 10,000 ants. And the king said, "What is this? What have you wrought here? What have you done, young man?" And in an instant, the young Brahmin boy transforms to Lord Vishnu and says to King Indra, these ants that have built an home, an anthill in your home, on the foundation of your home, all of these ants that you see coming before you, they are all the other Lord Indras. They are all the other King Indras who have come before you. Now Indra was shocked, for there was not one, there was not two, there were 10,000 Indras before him. And Lord Vishnu said, "You will see all these Indras that have come before you, all these Indras, they too tried to fill their lack with things. They tried to fill their self-doubt with things. They tried to fill their self-doubt with titles, with achievements, with accolades. And like you, in time, everything became overstuffed. Everything became overfilled. And the lack continued to grow. Thus, there must be a change. With that, the blink of an eye, Vishnu dissolves away the palace and the 10,000 things. And he stood with King Indra alone. Indra no longer a king. Indra a soul seeking his illumination. And he said unto him, "This lack, you must fill it with Kriya. You must fill it with your meditation. You must fill it with your sadhana. You may no longer fill it with the 10,000 things. Filling it will build your life again on an anthill. You know how unsteady an anthill is," he said, "very unsteady. You cannot stand on an anthill. You cannot live on an anthill. You cannot build a palace or a house or a life on an anthill. The ants will come and eat the wood. The ants will come and devour the very foundation upon which you have built your life. And all of these accolades, all of these achievements, all of these things that you valued so much dissolve away in time. Thus, change is needed." Now, what is that change? How does this story of Indra apply to you? How does it apply to all humans? One of the greatest surprises in my work career, one of the greatest surprises in my life in the corporate world, was as I progressed along the career, I had the interesting karma of working with and being with people who were in positions of great title and great power within their realm. One day, one of the people who had quite a bit of title and quite a bit of power within his realm was having dinner with me. I was having dinner with him, I guess is the better way to put it. We were having dinner together. And he said, you know, it's really hard. They're going to find out that I'm a fraud. They're going to find out that I'm faking it. They're going to find out that I don't know what I'm doing. There was a big problem that had come up, and he said, I don't know the answer to this. I don't know what to do. But they're going to find out that this title was given to the wrong person, that this praise, this accolade was all given to the wrong person. It doesn't belong to me. I'm a fraud. Yeah. It's lack. It was his feeling of lack. He was just like Indra. He was just like King Indra, that feeling of lack. And through the years, in one way or another, many people that I met who were large of title, large of financial wealth, large of power in their realm, would say in one way or the other, they're going to find out I'm a fraud. Now, you, my beloved, are not a fraud. They were not frauds. The seed of self-doubt had come to reside within their mind. And instead of being able to say, neti, 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 instead of turning inward and meditating, instead of changing their life, they filled their life with things. They filled their life with accolades. They filled their life with achievements. They filled their life with titles. You know, when you leave this incarnation, they can be calling you mom or sister or brother or your majesty or Mr. President or Madam President. And all of that evaporates away. Lord Shani will bring that evaporation into your life, perhaps earlier than you would like, or perhaps ways that you're not comfortable with. But Shani, or Lord Saturn, is here to help you, to help me, to help us to let go of those things which are of no value to us, including the greatest one, that seed of self-doubt. That seed that says, I'm not good enough. I don't know. What are they going to think of me? What are they going to say? Do I look all right? Am I speaking okay? Will they accept me? All of those seeds and all of their various manifestations, it's all the seed of self-doubt. And so you and I, we need to take those seeds and pluck them out. We need to pluck them. Or even better than plucking them, dissolve them away. Or maybe even better than dissolving them away, use them as the grounds for our sadhana. Use them as the grounds upon which you find joy and happiness and enlightenment. Transform them, transmute them. Use them. Use those doubts as an opportunity to practice, as an opportunity to bring greater joy to your life, as an opportunity to walk towards enlightenment. How do you do that? You practice, you say, okay, here you are again. Here you are again. Oh my goodness. There's the thought again. There's the thought of self-doubt again. Now, this doubt, this thought of self-doubt, this lack, this kernel of self-doubt, which is a lack. And it's a lack that is, we think, the error in thinking is that one thinks that the self-doubt or the lack will be filled by achievements of some sort, achievements of name, achievements of title, achievements of approval of others, not just of oneself. More importantly, you should approve of yourself, but it's the approval of others that feed this lack and that we think is going to fill it, but it doesn't. And then it is more discouraging to have achieved these things and find that the lack is not gone. It's a little bit like buying a new dress, let's just say. Or if you're a man, a new car, or if you're a woman, a new car, if you like cars. And you're really enthused about this new thing that you bought. When you first get it, it's just beautiful. You're happy about it. You're really enthused. And it feels as if it's filled the lack. It feels as if I'm content. I have this thing I was looking for. Day goes by and you start to criticize it. Your mind starts to criticize it. You start to see the imperfections in the thing. Maybe it takes longer than a day. Maybe it takes a week. Maybe it takes a month. But in time, you either stop seeing this thing that you valued so much, as in it's in your life, but you just become oblivious to it, or your mind begins to criticize it. I could get a better one. There might be one that's a different color. There might be one that I would like better than this one. Thus you have a problem, right? The things themselves do not fill the lack. There is a blindness that occurs in the mind, almost a way of deceit that says, oh, yes, I think that this feeling of lack that I have can be filled by this thing. And then when you realize it can't be, the process starts all over again. Years ago, somebody that I knew came to work with a new diamond, a bigger diamond. She'd been married quite a while. And I said, oh my goodness, you got a new ring. And she said, oh yes, my husband watered my engagement ring. And I said, what does that mean? And she said, well, in my tradition, in our culture, as your husband gains the ability financially to do that, he gives you a bigger and bigger and bigger diamond. And you trade it in every year, every 5 years, you get a new one. And the women who have been married for a long time have several carat diamonds. That to me was a perfect example, is a perfect example of this feeding of the lack. A quarter of a carat, a half a carat, 2 carats, 5 carats, pretty soon it's 20 carats and you can't hold your hand up. And the lack is still not filled. The lack is still not filled. What happens? These things, they disappear. They are taken from us, they disappear. Saturn removes them from our lives, or the feeling continues to grow. That's not what you're here for. That's not what you want. You're here today sharing this meditative time with me, sharing this Dharma talk and then some meditation with me, because you want something else. You want something different. You want to fill that lack. And how do you fill it? You fill it with your practice. You fill it with your intent. You fill it with your commitment to yourself. You fill it with recognizing that changing your ways of life, little petite changes like we were talking about before, last week, week before, small changes will fill the lack in your life. And so it begins by turning inward and saying, what do I need to do? What's the foundation I need to do? And so many of you know this practice. I'm just going to give it again and remind you it is foundational to having a life in which you can fill the lack. And that is that you need to take a part of your self-awareness, a part of your self-conscious awareness, and lift it above your head, 2.5 to 3 feet. And that part of your self-conscious awareness is the observer. It has the capacity to observe, to record what's going on in your life first, but to record the thoughts that are rising in the mind, not here, but here. To record it, to observe, to become aware of the thoughts that are rising in your mind. Now, my beloved, this is really, really important, because gaining the skill to keep that awareness there at all times, even in the dream state, and you're going to slip. You will slip. You will have times where you will become absolutely unconscious. You won't remember, or you'll become so enmeshed in what you are doing, into the emotions of the moment, the day, the week, the conversation that's there around you, or the wonderful book that you're gobbling up. And you will lose that self-awareness. So what? Go back again to that self-awareness, that is above the chakric system. Great mystery here. The self-awareness is above the chakric system. And thus you are observing the thoughts that rise in your mind. And guess what? By the observation of the thoughts that rise in your mind, you become aware. Oh, the mind is emotional at this time. Oh, I see. That feeling of lack, that feeling of self-doubt, it is arising again. I see. It has arisen again. What can I do? Replace it, fill it. Speak to it. Say this wonderful affirmation. Free me from my negative thoughts that I do not pass them on to others. Free me from my negative thoughts that I do not pass them on to others. Free me from my negative thoughts that I do not pass them on to others. Free them. Free me. Free me. Free them. Fill the self-doubt with Om Shanti or Om, The mind arises self-doubt. Om. 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 Fill the self-doubt with the sound of mantra. Fill the self-doubt with the sound of music, with the musical instrument of your voice, or the musical instrument of your musical instrument, your harp, your guitar, your drums. Fill the lack with your creativity. Now, this takes self-discipline. When you find yourself calling yourself names, other than beautiful or something wonderful like that, when you find yourself calling yourself names, derogatory names, Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Eradicate that habit. And I am telling you, there will be times where you will do something that you are really emotionally upset about, and you will call yourself a name. It might be you say, oh, you dodo, or oh, whatever name you want to call yourself. No, 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 no. Neti, 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 neti. You are not this thought. You're not thinking the thought, thinking this thought. You are not thought. The great mantra, neti, neti, neti. Now, all of these tie together. You know, what have I said to you? I've said you need to focus, to re-emphasize in your practice, to re-emphasize the observer practice. That can never be let go. And so you may hear me say it over and over and over and over again and think, doesn't she have anything else to tell us? Doesn't she have any other practice to give us? And the answer is, this is necessary. If you cannot see the emotions that are rising in your mind, then your practice is for naught. If you cannot realize that your mind has become emotional, and it's just the nature of the mind, it's not you, it's the mind stuff that has emotionality. It is the mind that is gluey. It is not you, it is the mind. But you need to gain this skill and sustain this skill. And sustaining that skill takes reminding. Sustaining that skill takes reminding and doing again and again and again, practicing it again and again and again and again, every day. And then when a day comes that you slip and you forget, having something that will remind you to pick it up again. So what have I said? I've said that even the king of the Devas, had lack. That the human mind has lack. And that lack can be kept in a little kernel or it can grow. But you have control over that. You have the power to shrink, to fill that lack. All you need to do is to take the kaleidoscope of your mind and move it a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. And what wonders will appear for you? What bliss will appear for you? You will look in your life and say, my goodness, joy and happiness is filling my life. Look at this. I have found a way to walk through life through which I am happy. You will see that you are entitled to be happy. That is, that you can bring happiness and joy and contentment into your life. That regardless of the circumstances, you can be a blessing to life and to yourself, but to all of life. You know, you can be ill in a hospital and you can still be a blessing. You can speak kindly, you can speak gently. You can be a blessing. You can be experiencing a difficult time. You can be sad, you can be depressed. You can still be a blessing. While you are able, while you are strong, while the karma is flowing in a easy, harmonious way for you, do your practice. Gain the habit of your practice. Gain the habit of turning inward. Gain the habit of observing your thoughts and doing something when those thoughts are constricted and harmful. Don't feed them. Don't feed them. Feed goodness and happiness. And you don't like the word happiness, you don't like the word goodness, find your own word. Feed something that improves your life for the long run, for more than just the moment. And yet there is nothing but the eternal, ever-present now in your reaction in the now. It sounds so simple. Yet, as a disciple said to me not long ago, why is it that all of these things that we should be taught from the time we're little, we don't hear till we're older? We don't hear until there's some other thoughts that have taken place in the root of our mind. Yeah. You and I, we are very blessed, very fortunate to have found these teachings of Kriya Yoga, the teachings that my guru and his guru have left. Very, very, very blessed. We've blessed ourselves. Use what you found. If there's anything that I have said today that is of meaning to you, use it. Apply it in your life. Take it to improve your life. And I don't care if the improvement is that you're going to be a better artist, a better chef, better worker, a kinder human. It matters not how you use it. What matters is that you use it in a way that for you in your life is most meaningful. You hear me? That lack, that feeling that you're not worthy, you are worthy. You are worthy to make yourself a priority, to make yourself the most important person in your life, to make yourself the person you love the most. Really. I don't mean that from an egotistical, narcissistic way, but if you don't care about your life, who's going to? It should be the most important. What you do with your life, how you spend your life, should be a priority for you. One last, perhaps mystical truth to add to your observer practice, to add to your focus on filling that lack, that emptiness, that sense of unworthiness. Use your efforts to succor unto life. Do for others as they need having done. Help others as they need help, not as you would like to help them, but as they need help. Embody the trait of your Ishtadevata. Embody the traits of your form of the divine. Embody the traits that you think that the divine embodies. And this will feed you. This will fill you. But you must do something to feed, to fill that lack. My saying something to you is not enough. You must do something. You must know that you are worthy of being treated with respect, that you are worthy of being treated with compassion and kindness, that you are worthy of being in relationships with others that are uplifting and fulfilling and beneficial to you, that you do not need to be in relationships in which that lack, that feeling of unworthiness is fed by another person. Hear me. Leave those relationships. Change yourself first and the relationships will dissolve away. See your own worthiness and the unhealthy, sick relationships will dissolve away. And you will draw into your life relationships that are healthy, relationships that are good, relationships that are uplifting to you. for that which you wish to do in your life. And I'm not saying walk away from all your relationships. Be very clear, that's not what I'm saying. But I am very clearly stating to you this morning for a very specific reason. If you think that the only way that you can be happy is to be in a relationship where someone is speaking poorly of you, putting you down, treating you with disrespect, rethink the thought that you were thinking. Let go of that thought. And if you turn inward and reflect and see what is feeding your lack, change it. Change it harmoniously, surely, harmoniously. As my guru would say, don't go out and quit the job. Do it harmoniously. Do you hear me? Do it harmoniously. I say to you again for the fourth time this morning, you are good. You deserve happiness. You deserve that which you wish to draw into your life to bring yourself ever greater happiness and joy, contentment, enlightenment, acceptance. Accept your life the way it is now, and then make the changes. May you be blessed. May you be blessed. May you be triply blessed. Become an ever greater blessing unto all of those who enter your aura. And now together we will enter into a meditation that the lack may be filled, that you might transform the lack into fullness of Ananda, of bliss, of joy. Namaste. Namaskar. Focus your attention at the point between your eyes. Focus your attention at the sun center. Turn your head to the left with a double exhalation. Bring the head back to the center and begin to watch your breath. Use the sipping breath now and pull the energy from the limbs of the body to the trunk of the body, sipping as if through a straw. From the trunk of the body, pull the energy into the spinal column. From the base of the spine, pull the energy up to the sun center. Move that energy as a golden ball of light out in front of you. And move it around you to the left, behind you, to the right, encasing your entire being in a golden light. Expand that, do that 2 more times. And expand that golden light until it encases your body and you are comfortable in it. And now ascend upward beyond the room you are in, above the continent. Ascend to the high place. As you ascend to the high place, you see in front of you a path. You walk along that path, ascending upward upon a mountain. No stress, no strain. You ascend. You're halfway up the mountain. You see a clearing. Stop at the clearing. In front of you is a shrine, a healing shrine, perfect for you. The shrine is a brilliant golden white. You enter into the shrine and see that it is filled with light. Walk towards the back of the shrine until you come to the pool of water. Coming to the pool of water, walk into that water and see that it is fed by a waterfall of light. Walk underneath this waterfall of light. Feel the healing water pouring upon your crown center. Feel it filling every cell of your being. Hear the water. Om. 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 Ananda. 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 Feel the light filling every cell of your being, filling every cell of your being, filling all the places of lack. Ananda. 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 Da, 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 da. When you are ready, leave the healing waterfall of light, knowing that you can return here again and again and again, filling any lack that is within your being, washing away all the difficult karmas. Om. 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 Walk forth from the waterfall, through the pond, being aware of the new clothing you have. Filled with light. When you are ready, leave the shrine and return to the clearing. Om. 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 Da, da. Om. 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 Da. Hear the mountains. Feel the mountains chanting. Om. 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 Da, 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 da. Om. 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 Da, da, da. And when you are ready, return to the high place of meditation. Knowing that at any time you may choose to return again and again and again to the healing shrine. As you need, you may return. Be thou blessed. Know that thou art good. Know that you are goodness. Know that you are entitled to be happy. Know that you can be happy. I thank you so much for sharing your Yoga City, your meditative energy, your effort, your sadhana with me today, with us today, for joining and sharing your blessings. May each breath that you breathe be blessed. May you find greater joy and happiness in all that you do. Namaste. Namaskar.